Welcome to No Talking During the Movies. I am your host, Stephen Austin.
And I am your co-host, Tank.
That was a quick and easy one.
That's how I like to do it now. As you get older, your knees can't take the
All right.
heavy lifting anymore.
Tank is Darkwing Duck, and I am Launchpad McQuack.
Ooh.
Honestly, I just wanted to compare us to those.
I'm in. Consider me sold, sir.
Yeah. The reason why I made that comparison today is because a lot of our news topics have to do with Disney reboots. Which made me think of the question, and I think we've already asked the question, what is a live-action Disney film you would like to see? But what would be a live-action, not even has to be live-action, just a reboot in general? Maybe it's a TV show, maybe it's a movie. What is a reboot of a Disney product you would actually really like to see? Doesn't have to be a live-action film, could be a TV show, could be whatever.
It's a good question. Now, I didn't really grow up with the Disney stuff that you guys did. You know, we didn't have the shows. We did have Disney Channel and things like that. But we didn't have the amount of shows and things. So, sticking to movies. Yeah, that's a good question. I was a big fan of the Robin Hood with animals movie.
Yeah. Robin Hood and Little John run through the forest. That one.
Yeah, you could put a modern spin on that. It could be a lot of fun.
I think so too. I really love the animation of that original one.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm imagining maybe if they did a modern day reboot, they would try to keep that animation style but give it a modern flair, which I think would be hard but also very interesting to look at.
It's possible, I think, to do that and also like keep the integrity but also modernize it a bit. You know what I mean?
So mine is a Disney TV show that never got a lot of, I guess, credit. I feel like there is a resurgence of love for it now, especially because it's on Disney Plus. But it was a animated show in the 90s called Gargoyles.
Oh, I love I said I didn't even think of that as a Disney.
It's Disney, and that's the thing that's crazy because it's so like it's kind of dark and kind of gritty for a 90s Disney animated show that was on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And it ran for 3 seasons, and all I'm thinking is like, man, why do nobody know this show?
It was first of all, it was so good, number one.
It was really good.
The voice work was great in it. Like actual big stars voiced the stuff, and that's one of the differences that having Disney as a studio can do for you.
Yeah.
You get those big dollar amounts. Number one. Number two, it wasn't like anything else on at the time. And I was older when it came out. I wasn't like a little kid, so like that and Batman the animated series were kind of like the only cartoons I still was watching at that point.
Right, and Batman the Animated Series is just gold. And Gargoyles had a very similar, like, aesthetic to it.
Total
style.
Similar. The quality was very similar.
Which is perfect for both of those properties. But I think a modern-day reboot, Disney Plus, make it with the animation that they have now at their disposal, don't make it like 3D or anything. But
I think I'd like to see it as a live action. You don't think so?
Oh my god, like a live action. What if they did like a live action movie?
Yeah.
And like, could you imagine how creepy some of those gargoyles would look like? But then they would look so humanoid later as you get used to. I don't know. I'm just explaining the movie now, but I really like that idea now. A live action reboot.
And part of what was going on during the show was people were freaked out by seeing them because they looked weird.
Scary.
Yeah, man. And that was good stuff.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a show.
But now I think let's move on to our trailers. We got a couple of trailers. 3 of them are HBO Max properties, and the other one is a trailer that just released today. I think the first thing we should talk about is something I feel like both of us are excited for. I hope both of us are excited for. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion on HBO Max.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. I was disappointed. I was hoping that it would be an actual catches up with the characters, not so much the people that acted on the show.
That's what I was hoping too, but I think the way that they're doing it is like it's trying to kind of bask in the glory that was the show without like trying to taint it a little bit. But I agree with you. I'm sitting over here like I would like to know where everybody is now.
Well, there was a couple of years ago, a guy from my hometown, actually, Kansas City, made a trailer that re-spun the whole Fresh Prince lore into a drama.
Oh.
So imagine instead of a comedy, a slapsticky kind of zap zoom zang kind of comedy. It's a guy gets in trouble with a gang in his neighborhood. He has to leave. You know what I mean? He lives with his uncle, and he's adjusting to life. It was more kind of like the OC.
Interesting.
But the trailer, the guy did an incredible job on the trailer.
That sounds very cool. A dramatized, realistic version of like kind of like the gang life influence, and also how different life would be, but not taking it as a comedy thing, but as a real adjustment. Like that sounds really awesome.
And the trailer got so much attention that it made it all the way to Will Smith. And
Will Smith,
God. Yeah. So Will Smith had talked about it, and I tell you what I would like to see, dude, I know that Will Smith is this big time movie star, but goddamn, dude, imagine if Will Smith takes on the Uncle Phil role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So picture, it would be, like maybe it's Jazz's kid. Like maybe Jazz goes to prison or something like that, and Will has to raise his kid, and it's like, I mean, see, that's what I'm talking about, and you get to see Carlton and his, maybe he's got like the coolest, like most streetwise kids, you know what I mean, and like Will's kids are all, hey Dad, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like Carlton was. I mean, you could do both, and the way and modern storytelling is such that I think you could make it work as both levels, and not to take anything away from Fresh Prince, because honestly, there are some of the most remarkable, emotional moments ever in that show.
Dude, why doesn't he want me? Yeah. Like that was the hardest episode I think of that era of television. Just because it really subverted your expectations on, what a comedy show could do.
And that's one of the things they talk about in that reunion, in that trailer at least. Right. And, see, stuff like that I'm really interested in finding out about.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. The flip side of the coin of, we're not getting a where are they now kind of story, but we are getting a let's learn a behind-the-scenes look at a show that I think everybody here, not only the cast, the crew, but also everybody watching, loved so much. And I'm interested in learning that.
And they're bringing back the original Aunt Viv, so...
That's right.
That could be some drama, so that might be fun.
That might be fun. Yeah, I'm interested. And who knows, maybe after the... Because at this point, I believe HBO just owns the rights to Fresh Prince, I believe. So maybe after the reunion does so well, maybe they'll be like, maybe we should do some more Fresh Prince stuff.
Well, they're doing the Saved by the Bell reboot,
right? Which that looks,
I mean, I won't get into,
I think I had the trailer for the Saved by the Bell reboot like on here or something, one of the previous weeks. But after watching it, I was like, I'm not talking.
It's one of those things, but it's kind of like the difference in quality between Fresh Prince and Saved by the Bell.
Totally,
is huge. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that I think that bringing Fresh Prince back in some way. I don't know, man. Like I just think that the stigma of being on TV after you're a movie star is over. Especially since now everything is kind of the same anyway, since everything just kind of goes to the same place.
It's true.
So I would love to see Will Smith do something with that and bring back, I'd love to find out what's going on with Will 30 years later.
I agree. And I'm hoping that maybe one day they'll dive into that, especially after the success of this reunion, and I'm sure we'll give them.
I bet it will. I bet this is probably going to, and this could be the kind of thing where they're just testing the waters to see if how much interest there is.
Hey, do people actually still care about Fresh Prince? And it turns out people do.
Right.
So our next trailer is another HBO Max. This one, you made fun of me for putting on the list before we started, called Let Them All Talk.
Yeah, it's like the Joy Luck Club without any joy or luck.
Honestly, here's the thing. It's clearly supposed to be like, ooh, what is her dark past secret? And I thought the trailer was going to give us a little bit of it. This is Meryl Streep and two of her friends and her nephew, who I thought, just by how dark and gritty the trailer was trying to portray, I thought like they were insinuating that she was gonna like be romantic with her nephew, and I was like, that's weird. I'm not kidding. That's how the trailer was like trying to set up like the dark twist of it all, and I was like, I don't like this.
Nobody ever got that but you out of that.
I'm just saying, like, there was some weird like, what does it all mean, and like vibes going on, and I was just like, I don't know what the dark secret is, but I'm not sure if I want to learn it. But who knows? Maybe the trailer will tell me at some. They didn't tell you anything.
Yeah, the movie's set on the ocean, and I could not be more dry. I mean, honestly.
Well, honestly, it's so funny. They set it on a cruise ship, and then at one point, it shows them like somewhere after the cruise ship in the trailer, like on land, and I'm like, is this the end of the movie, or do they just keep going after the cruise ship? I thought the movie was on the cruise ship.
Yeah, it's got something to do. Meryl Streep probably stole the idea for her novel from one of the other dinosaur ladies.
Could be. I mean, this movie just looks like an excuse for Meryl Streep to act more.
It looks like a Depends commercial on the
All right. Yeah, I wasn't really into it either. But our next trailer, I was surprisingly more into. It's called Super Intelligence, another. Really?
Go ahead.
It's another HBO Max. It's with Melissa McCarthy, and honestly, I'm not even a big fan of hers. I don't like her in like most of the comedy movies she does because her brand of comedy just doesn't vibe with me. This one looks somewhat funny, especially like the fact that the AI she calls out is like, "Is this James Corden?" And he's like, "I chose the voice James Corden because it would make you more comfortable with it," or something like that. And it looked funny.
Yeah, it was funny. The first time they did it when it was called Jexy.
Jexy didn't look good though.
Jexy was terrific.
Really?
Yes, it was very good. Very funny. And uses all the same jokes that maybe they got different jokes in the movie, but in the trailer they already used these jokes in
Jexy took it from her. The Joaquin Phoenix movie.
Oh, okay. Fair. I'll give you that.
What did her take it from? Granted, I get where you're coming from. You're saying Jexy and
War Games? I don't know.
I get where you're coming from. You're saying Jexy and this movie are so close together and kind of similar in premise that it's like they just came out at the same exact time. It's kind of like what I was talking about the other day.
They didn't come out at the exact same time. This isn't linear thinking. One movie came out, ran its course, even went through cable run, and now we got the same movie.
Yes, I'm saying it was like a year later and it's the same thing.
Worse people, too. I hate Melissa McCarthy. I am not a fan.
I'm just saying, I watched the trailer for Jexy, and I didn't laugh at all because all the jokes seemed very stale. But then I laughed at a couple of jokes in this trailer. Not all of them.
How it's the same jokes?
They're not, though. Jexy seemed way dirtier.
Just because they brought James Corden in.
No. Jexy just seemed way dirtier. That movie seemed way more, like, I don't want to use the word vulgar, but they tried to do more, like, sexual jokes that just, like, that's all the trailer was littered with. And I was just like, oh, I'm not really into that. And then this one had, like, none of that.
First of all, dirty jokes are awesome, number one.
I'm not opposed to them.
Let's put that right out there.
But if they make that 90% of their face value, I don't care.
But that movie wasn't like that at all.
But you're already talking about butts. See, it's gotten into your head. That's bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. You should be writing for Melissa McCarthy.
I should be.
So there was like one run of hey, the phone took a picture of your penis and sent it to everybody jokes, and that was it. Everything else was funny. There's even there's a good love story. Kid Cudi's in it.
Okay.
I mean, it's, you know what? I'm gonna make that. I'm putting that as my recommendation this week. There you go.
All right, great. All right.
It was Rudy. Now it's Jexy. All right, keep going.
You had Rudy?
Yeah.
I would have much rather watched Rudy.
Now you're watching Jexy.
Our next trailer. You still haven't watched Frozen 2. Get out of here. Our next trailer is this trailer that dropped today, a CGI, and I'm calling it that because I don't know what the actual name of the film is. I'm sure it's just Tom and Jerry, the movie. It is a CGI Tom and Jerry film.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. What did you think of this trailer?
The animation looks cool.
That was the main thing for me. It looks cool.
The good old-fashioned family violence that we've come to know and love from Tom and Jerry's back, which in this day and age is kind of refreshing because you feel like people will be scared to put some violence on a movie, but they're not. So I love that.
Do you think they're going to put a gun in the film?
No, definitely not. And they'll stay away from the stuff that used to be racist in the old.
Well, of course, yes.
So we won't see any of that, but I mean, still though, the whack-em violence is still there, and that's kind of hard to believe. But the animation looks crisp and it looks cool. Mm-hmm. You haven't seen many live action animation mix movies in a very long time.
No, honestly, and this one surprisingly looks really great. There was a shot at the end of the trailer where we have Tom in the sky flying down, like pretending he's Batman or something. And there's so much rain and wind and stuff that you can see the wet like fur on him, which looks really good. And I was kind of shocked how like great it looked. And I was just like, all right, well, I guess the animation is what's going to sell this movie for me.
Well, also though, a great cast, like a really strong cast. Michael Pena, Ken Jeong, Chloe Grace Moretz is in it. Mm-hmm. I think is she old enough for me to think she's hot yet, or no?
I think she's old enough for you to think she's hot.
Okay. So I mean, it looks like they're. So it looks like look, the immediate word that came to my mind was like, this looks cute. You know what I mean? Because it's not something that I would run to go see at them. But like if I had a kid, or if I were a kid, or if I were bored and maybe pretty stoned, I would probably watch that.
By the way, you're safe. She's a year younger than me.
She's 20?
23. Thank you.
All right. So then I'm good. I'm like way good. All right. I got some things I don't need to feel so guilty about.
All right. But it does look good.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know how Tom and Jerry the TV show ended? Like the last episode?
No, but it was probably something really racist.
It's really dark. It's not racist.
Really?
It's really dark. Yeah. Tom and Jerry the entire episode are Tom's trying to fall in love with this cat and it won't work. And then Jerry's trying to fall in love with this mouse and it won't work. And then both of them try to help each other out and it doesn't work. And then the cat and the mouse go off with another cat and the mouse and mouse. So Tom and Jerry are like depressed and they are sitting on train tracks just by themselves, like looking at each other, and then they just look off into the distance and then it just fades to black.
Wow.
Like they're waiting for a train to come and kill them.
Wow. That's like, I thought you were going to say they did the suffocation where they were,
they're just both squeezing each other's necks until it just all fades to black.
No, what's that thing of like where you put a belt on, you yank it,
Oh, no. I mean, that's pretty dark too, but also would kind of. No, I shouldn't say it would be funny.
So, like, what? Okay, because, like, I didn't know there was ever, like, a functioning narratives to Tom and Jerry. Was there, like, another iteration of it? Because
I think they brought it back, like, later. But
because the one I watched growing up was, like, from the 40s or the 50s.
Well, yeah, so I think this final episode was in its, like final run of that original series, I believe. Okay. And then they brought it back and made it more kid-friendly and put less guns in it and less racism.
they lampoon it on Itchy and Scratchy, but that show was
Oh yeah,
man, they got after it. Let me tell you.
that was my favorite part about Itchy and Scratchy growing up because I was like, oh, it's just Tom and Jerry, but like real. That's how I considered it because of how like just destroyed they would get. Bless you, bless you, bless you.
I can't do it.
You can't do it
it.
now. It's because I called it out.
I was always surprised. I always thought Jerry specifically could be more of a licensed product because he's so adorable.
He's so adorable. Absolutely.
So, I think maybe this might be like the next step for that property, perhaps. I don't know.
I will say that the trailer makes Jerry out to be way more of a villain than I ever saw him as a child.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
He's a
yeah,
huge
for
a-hole.
sure.
And
but you got to figure that Tom is just trying to murder him the whole time. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
Tom's
right,
not trying to.
Tom's doing it for, because he's a cat and that's a mouse. Technically, if you think about it, Tom's doing the thing that comes natural to him. Jerry's the one who busted out the double barrel shotgun.
Yeah, but he's just defending himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stand your ground, mouse. You know what I'm saying?
I will say that there's something really, fulfilling when you hear Tom make the same screams that he would make in the cartoon. If you remember, if he get hit, he'd be like, "Ow!"
Yeah, that's good. That's a good impression.
Thanks. I didn't want to do it right into the mic. But the fact that they brought that back, I was like, it put a big smile on my face. I was like, cool. He sounds like Tom. But I'm excited.
Yeah, it looks cool.
All right. Well, what do you say we get into our news?
I love it.
All right, so our first news story today is that Star-Lord is going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. They finally announced that he's going to be in it. We kind of already assumed that was going to be the case because Thor: Love and Thunder is happening before Guardians 3. So I'm excited that he's been confirmed to be in it, but I wanted to ask you, do you think we're going to see the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, or are we just going to have Star-Lord being like, all right, I'm dropping you off here. Let me get back to my ship. And the other characters didn't get paid to be in this movie.
No, I think we'll definitely see at least a few minutes of that.
That's what I figured, is that, all of them are probably going to be in it.
Maybe the tail end of some sort of adventure they were on.
Sure. And then maybe that's how he hears about, whatever happens with Jane or whatever that's happening on Earth that causes Thor to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope this would be a collabo film between the two,
Well, I do know whenever they used the Guardians on Infinity War and Endgame, they had James Gunn there whenever they were directing Guardian scenes to get his creative opinion to see if what the Russo brothers were doing was correct for the characters. So I can only imagine they're going to do something similar with the characters now. If James Gunn's not busy.
I would love to have seen Thor be in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And
honestly, I think he will be.
Yeah,
I think so. I think Thor: Love and Thunder is just going to be a him movie that's kind of bridging the gap between Endgame and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And maybe the Guardians will be more involved in Thor and Love and Thunder than we think. But maybe. I would really, really like it if at the end of this next Thor movie, he goes off with the Guardians, and then the next Guardians movie could straight up be called As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. It writes itself, honestly.
It really does.
And it's funny because, you're going to have... There's lots of opportunities for the funny conflict between... Star-Lord and Thor. That's a great little funny rivalry and everything like that. So I don't know. I'm not super stoked about the new Thor movie, to be honest with you.
I think we've already had this discussion where I'm like, you're not going to be interested in it until either the first trailer or the movie comes out and you see it, and you're going to be like, oh, it's great. You know why it's great? Because Taika Waititi does it, and it's Taika Waititi doing a Thor movie again. That's really why it's great.
I mean, the last one is infinitely watchable, so
it tops most people's list. My buddy Martin still puts Thor Ragnarok as his favorite Marvel film.
I can see it.
Which,
I can totally see it.
Yeah, you can't really say well, that's dumb because it's still that good.
Now, if he said Thor 2, then I wouldn't be friends with him anymore.
Well, yeah, I would understand that, and honestly, I don't think I could either. Though he pointed out something to me that I thought was really interesting that I don't know if you know. Did you know in every Thor movie, Thor's face gets pressed up against glass and like smushed?
I did not know that was a thing.
Because we were talking about Thor Ragnarok, and he was like, yeah, and I love that scene where Valkyrie shocks him with the thing and it makes him turn over and press his face up against the glass because they kept that bit going. I'm like, what do you mean bit? And he goes, well, in the first Thor, he gets slammed up against like a medical window or something while they're trying to like sedate him. And in the second Thor, it's like him falling onto a building and they smush his face up against glass then too. And he's like, I'm just happy they kept that bit going. And I'm like, I didn't even realize that was a bit.
Dude, that is a really low bar for a bit. I gotta be 100% honest.
But I think it's funny that it's like realistically, it's Chris Hemsworth. Probably, I would only imagine that it's him, the one who's like pushing that.
He's like, don't forget, I'll have to get my face mushed against glass in this one. Find a way to work that in somehow, would you?
That was a good Chris Hemsworth impression.
Thanks. I've been working on it because my wife thinks he's hot. So.
All right.
I sneak up behind her and use that voice, and then she turns around and gets really disappointed.
A little additional question for the next Thor movie: do you want Thor to be fat in the next one?
No. It was a fun bit, and honestly, as a fat guy, I like the idea that he was still worthy even after he was fat, and you know what I mean. But he's Thor, for God's sakes. Let's get him.
Well,
get him back to where he's supposed
to be. I'm kind of hoping that there's a transition in this movie. That's what
like a Rocky style montage.
Yes, and I promise you, Taika Waititi might do that.
That right there. Okay, that's the Guardians of the Galaxy scene where they're getting him back in shape.
And that's it's like Groot pretending to be the punching bag or something.
Groot holding his arm up and him doing pull-ups on Groot's arm.
Him wrestling Drax.
Yes, absolutely.
Him trying to like fight Mantis, putting him to sleep.
Exactly. Oh, now we're talking.
Arm wrestling Nebula.
Putting some of that great music touch that they have on there. You know what? Like the idea of everything as entertainment is so different now because you literally could have a movie where and they've done this before, obviously. Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino have done movies where they've directed different scenes.
Sure.
But like imagine a world where each different when you have all these different superheroes interacting, each different group of superheroes is directed by their own director.
Yeah.
And then overseen by someone like a Kevin Feige so that it's still kind of meshes, but it's also so singular in the message of that particular group that it would be like amazing to see how they would handle getting Thor into shape. You know what I mean? It's like hypnosis with
Mantis.
Oh my God, hypnosis with Mantis to try to get him off of cheese. You know what I mean? Like, I think that has such comic potential, and then he could land back on Earth to go find Jane after he's got back in shape and gotten his shit together. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. That's the way to do it, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, I love that. And now I'm just picturing Taika Waititi calling in James Gunn into a meeting and going, all right, brainstorm. Like, all the writers are there. Kevin Feige's there. And they go, how are we getting Thor back into shape? And they just throw stuff at the wall, and they're like, we'll use all of it. It's great.
I mean, like, because, honestly, like, yes, not simply the best. That's Schitt's Creek. You're the best around! That would be such a Star-Lord song. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a Star-Lord jam. And oh man.
What if Star-Lord and Thor, because Star-Lord's trying to match up to Thor, Star-Lord's trying to do the same training regimen as Thor, and they fight over what music to play. So he's playing very Star-Lord music. You're the best around. And then Thor's trying to play like more of the immigrant song, you know, like more like Black Sabbath and stuff, you know?
Oh, I could. All right, if something like that happens, I might be in again.
I was gonna
may
say
be
we're
in
gonna
again.
write this
Besides,
movie,
even with all the ham-fistedness, I might still.
right?
You know, if something like that goes down, I might be back in. You might get me back in with that.
More into our Marvel news, we have this great quote just from an interview that they were talking about. It's about the idea that there are rumors going around that in Black Panther 2, they plan on using a digital double for Chadwick Boseman to kind of explain maybe what happened to his character, you know. But it was actually Victoria Alonso on the double. She kind of like immediately put to bed all those rumors and was just like, you know, it's not going to happen. Her quote is, "There's only one Chadwick, and he's not with us. Our king, unfortunately, has died in real life, not just in fiction." And I think that's the right way to go, because people were really put off by like how they handled Leia in the Last Skywalker, the Rise of the Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker, however you say that title. And I think people would be very, very upset if they tried to just bring Chadwick back to life in Black Panther 2. You know what I mean?
It would feel really gross.
It would be. You'd feel wrong watching it. I almost want Black Panther 2 to start with them at, like, his funeral or something.
I feel like they just gotta. I feel like that's just a property you just let go.
You think so? Just let go of Black Panther?
I do.
I don't think they would ever do that.
Like, without Black Panther, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I mean, the gadgets are awesome. The city is cool and things like that. But
I still think Shuri should take up the mantle, because she would be the next in line as king. Would technically be queen. But also in the comics, she has taken up the role of Black Panther before.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a time that he just couldn't do it. It was like he was sick or something, and it was for a very short run. But I think the way that she kind of owned that film, she, like, her, Chadwick, and Michael B. Jordan kind of made Black Panther 1 so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I always saw her as more of an M type of character. Or sorry, Q.
Right. I mean, that's
Q type of character.
That's what she's trying to be. That's definitely her inspiration.
Maybe Lupita Nyong'o.
She could do it, sure. And I'm sure, like, they could, you know, say that they got married in between films, and now she's technically the stand-in queen.
What I really want, but will be called a misogynist because of this, is I want Winston Duke to do it.
I get that too. I feel like his character wouldn't want to do it in M'Baku. I feel like he wouldn't want to do it out of respect of T'Challa, but I also really love Winston Duke so much that I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that.
I want what was her name? Her character's name was Nokia, was that right?
I believe so. Are you talking about Lupita?
Lupita. So she goes to him and says, "Look, you're not gonna be the king, but we need a protector." But I realize that she also was a badass.
I was gonna say that whole movie is filled with badass women. I mean,
like, I guess that wouldn't really be necessary. I just need more Winston Duke as a badass in my life.
And honestly, I'm sure, regardless of, you know, whether Chadwick was going to be involved with Black Panther 2 or not, Winston Duke was heavily going to be in it, because he is one of the best parts of Black Panther 1, so much that they were like, we got to shove this guy in the front row at the end of Endgame. And they did. Yeah. He's running next to Thor at the end of Endgame. And I'm like, that's because M'Baku is the best. Winston Duke is the best.
And put some superstar juice into that guy's body. And, you know, but... that's another thing. That's another bridge we have to cross. There's no more of the heart of the thing.
I'm sure they're gonna retcon away.
Obviously, I'm just saying, like logically, like, we're met with all these problems, but
sure.
My money is on Lupita Nyong'o.
Okay. I would like it to be Shuri. I forget the name of the actress.
If I was putting actual money down, because Shuri is awesome and she's a great character, but she's not.
Lupita is a superstar right now.
Absolutely, and not only that, but like the things that she did in the first movie, her and Okoye, were like two of the main fighting forces throughout that whole movie.
That amazing casino scene in Korea. That one shot going like up and down, and it's just the three of them all doing badassery. And I agree.
And as much as I got a lot of respect for Shuri, and I'm sorry, is that who Victoria Alonso is? Is Shuri?
I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I always forget her actress's name, so I'm gonna remember who Victoria.
I think she's too young. I don't think that we've she did fight in both movies that she was in, but not the same as Nokia. Nokia is a badass. She's a spy. You know what I mean? Like, and I honestly think that in the interim, where we're going to be is that she will have been named Queen.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, Victoria Alonso, I figured this was it, but I wasn't sure. Victoria Alonso is just one of the head producers on these Marvel films. She's been a producer since Iron Man 1, and she's been side by side with Kevin Feige.
So she's not even just like part of the cast saying this isn't gonna. No, this is somebody who's making decisions.
She's one of the heads of Marvel right now, which just makes me feel better about the decision. I think.
I would love to see. I would love to see more Winston Duke.
Totally.
I'd love to see Winston Duke as the next Black Panther, but obviously. They're not gonna do that.
I agree with you though that I think Lupita is probably the best choice, not only from a like storytelling standpoint, but also a like filmmaking standpoint, because she is a superstar.
From a franchise building, perspective. I mean, you build your cornerstone out of your superstars, and. I mean, sorry, like I said, like there's and movies can fix it. The magic of movies and everything can fix it, but like let her be her, and
true.
Let's what I mean.
She seemed very comfortable in her role in the last movie. She didn't,
I mean, like there is definitely an opportunity to we've seen what Lupita can do in a role where she has to kick ass. So throw a suit on her, make her superhuman, then what I mean, like
totally. I completely agree.
And and those two, by the way, have great chemistry.
They do.
And if you go with Shuri, you don't really need Lupita anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That is a very good point. And honestly, if you had Lupita in the star role, not only do you get Shuri as her, as you said, Q, given her not only chemistry but also the cool new gadgets, and then you also keep Okoye as the head of the guard, then you actually are doing more of a service to the fact that you have three badass women, all of them kind of running the show, and then for comedic relief and also badassery, Winston Duke. Winston Duke as M'Baku. I like that, honestly. I think your call of it being Lupita is probably the best bet.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I put my money. I would love to see. It's a shame they killed Andy Serkis, because he was one of the best villains in that whole universe.
Yeah.
But also the guy who played the Shield agent that came into the city to help him fight.
Yeah. Ross. Agent Ross.
I'd like to see more of him.
Martin Freeman.
As more of like a maybe the ambassador.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I would like that.
So I think that's I'd like to see more of that. And like you said, I think it is important to acknowledge, and I think they really got to do a big funeral for.
They're gonna do a huge service to him.
I feel like they have to.
I would also only imagine that if not in the next major Marvel film that hasn't already been like shot and completed, but maybe just something that involves either it being Black Panther 2 or the next movie that involves the major cast, maybe have them come in as a funeral. You know what I mean? If we see a funeral scene in Black Panther 2, I want to see as many of the Avengers there as possible paying their respects. And, we can all freak out at it being a cameo, but truly we all know they're there because it's for Chadwick. It's not even for T'Challa, you know what I mean? And that's what I'd like to see. But I'm excited to see how they do it, and we're not going to get any words on it. I'm sure this thing's not even going to happen until Phase 5 now. I know they were planning on doing it in Phase 4. It's not happening in Phase 4. So we'll see when we get there. But I'm excited to see what they do. Now knowing that they're not going to do a digital double makes me feel better overall about it.
Agreed.
But the last Marvel news that we have is that WandaVision has finally got its release date. It's coming out January 15th, which means that we have gotten no Marvel anything, like MCU anything, for the entire year. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, but you know what? Maybe it's not a bad thing.
That's also what I'm thinking, because Endgame is such a bookmark, and then we also got a little bit extra Spider-Man at the end there, too.
Yeah.
And then we just went 2020 as like, all right, let's just all take a collective breath, even though Marvel's like trying to rush this stuff out. They're trying to decide what to do with Black Widow, and I'm just sitting here like, just let it come out when it comes out. It's cool.
Exactly. Especially since Black Widow's not going anywhere.
It's not. And even kind of along the same lines of Black Widow, Warner Brothers has been trying to decide whether or not to just release Wonder Woman 2 for a December movie audience, or wait until like summer of next year to show it to a film and to a theater. And I was like, I want to see this movie on the big screen, so wait. And I feel the same thing with Black Widow. Wait, I want to see, like, just the trailer of Black Widow made me actually want to see this movie on a big screen. I don't think it, my TV is gonna do it justice with how well it looks.
Yeah, you're not universe building with Black Widow because she's dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a one-off.
I will say some of the characters, like her sister in the movie, played by Florence something. What's her name?
In the Machine?
No. But that actress said that she's hoping that she can come in later films as the next Black Widow, which has happened in the comics, so I wouldn't be opposed to it. So there is maybe a little bit of universe building there.
Yeah, but like, again, since everything's been on hold, we're not in any hurry. And
True.
One thing you don't want is superhero whiplash where it's just too much all the time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like maybe a year off of Marvel, make them want it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because we're desperate now. We're all desperate for some Marvel content.
I heard something the other day that I was like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. Think about it. 2020 was the year of like no movies and like none of that. But 2021 is going to be chock full of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Not only are we getting stuff that's being caught up and finished now, but we're also getting all the other movies that were slated to come out in 2021, which is insanity to me. Another trailer, I didn't want to talk about it today because there didn't look to be anything else interesting in it, but another trailer that came out today was for Zack Snyder's Justice League. His Snyder cut.
The Snyder cut, yeah.
Yeah, and all I'm thinking is like, man, we're gonna get that and like 4 Marvel properties in 2021.
I mean, it's gonna be a lot.
It's pretty nuts.
And that's something they gotta watch out for too, because honestly, we're still. I mean, this has affected us for a long time. I think there's gonna be a large section of the population that's still gonna be very hesitant to get out.
Totally.
Unfortunately, there's people right now who don't take the shit seriously.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's why we're in the situation we're in right now.
It's true.
But I think there's been some irreparable damage done. Now, I did see that some of the larger movie companies and the movie theater companies have come to an arrangement about releasing digitally at the same time as coming out at the movies. So we'll see how that plays out.
It's going to be very different.
I was just talking. I haven't been in a movie. The last movie I saw was a movie we saw together, which was Onward.
Onward, yeah. which is
And that was
crazy to
March?
think. Yeah, something like that.
This is 8 months ago.
It's crazy. I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at like movie times the other day just to see like what are they even playing right now, because I know some movie theaters are open, and it's actually kind of surprising. A lot of movie theaters are doing like come back for the classics or something like that, and they just are playing older films in the theater. And a couple of them I was like, oh man, would I risk it? You know, like some of them are really good on there.
Yeah.
And I've told you, if they put Interstellar in a theater, because I never got to see Interstellar in a theater, I want to see that movie in a theater. So if they brought that one back, I'd be like, well, maybe I'll risk wearing a mask for 3 hours.
It's just as confusing, only bigger.
Well, look, it's a beautiful film. It's a beautiful film. But yeah, it's crazy how, I don't know, movies in general have been treated this whole time.
I look forward to WandaVision.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm excited about excited about that, and then that's about the same time Cobra Kai will be coming back. Cobra Kai. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming up to watch, man.
Yeah, it's true. Real quick, I did want to discuss the 2 reboots that Disney has announced, and I wanted to get our opinions on it. The first one I'm just gonna jump right into is the live-action Lilo and Stitch. Are you into that?
I think for me that was in a kind of a weird place for Disney, at least in my life, where I didn't really care that much about Disney.
Sure. It was
between being
early 2000s.
Being a kid, being a Disney fan, and being an adult and appreciating Disney movies. It was kind of in that area, so I don't really give a shit, honestly.
Have you ever seen Lilo and Stitch?
I have, yeah.
I love that film, and honestly, I don't think a live action's gonna make it any more special. You know what I mean? It's the same reason
needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason why I don't think like Lion King needed a live action, Beauty and the Beast needed a live action. Some stories are fine to being left out. They are, because they're already so good. Beauty and the Beast animated is a timeless classic of Disney that anybody can enjoy. You don't need, super good-looking CGI to like get kids to watch it. I think 2D animation would just work, like I said, like timelessly. It's So I'm not interested. I really don't want it. I don't want a lot of live-action Disney stuff, and that's one that I was really like, ooh, please no. But this other reboot I'm way more into, which is a Darkwing Duck reboot for Disney+. And Seth Rogen is set to produce it.
That's pretty dope.
That's
not gonna lie.
Pretty big.
I've been superbly let down though by reboots lately.
Sure.
Of the cartoon variety, the Thundercats reboot is disgusting. The She-Ra, reboot was stupid. Voltron was good for about a season and a half, and then it kind of went downhill as well.
So here's my question to you: have you watched any of the new Ducktales?
I have not.
The new Ducktales, perfect.
Really?
So good. And they got
Is that on Disney Plus?
I'm not sure actually. It should be. If it's not, I'm gonna be upset. But they've got David Tennant voicing Scrooge, and he does a wonderful job as Scrooge. He does that thick, like Scottish, like perfect. And in Darkwing Duck, in Ducktales, because we've seen a couple of episodes where we get to see Darkwing Duck in DuckTales, so they've kind of already like dipped their toes in the water of like, maybe we could do Darkwing Duck. It's so good, dude. It's so good. The way they describe it in DuckTales when they do his episode is they basically say the Darkwing Duck TV show that we grew up on is canon, or it's a TV show that takes place in the universe of DuckTales. Really? But there is a super fan who absolutely loves it, who takes over the role of Darkwing Duck and actually becomes Darkwing Duck in like DuckTales real life. It's really cool. It's really cool how they do it. And boy, I'm so excited to see what they do. And
Darkwing Duck, one of the most underrated properties ever.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. It's so freaking good. And with Seth Rogen set to produce it, I'm just saying, I'm sure he has just as much love for it that you and me do. Because, like, what has he put his name on to produce before? You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of anything.
Good Boys was one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah. It didn't look great, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, he's not going to bring any, like, adult content to Darkwing Duck.
Right. No, totally. And you know, as long as he respects the source material, I'm good. I'm good with it because Darkwing Duck deserves our respect because it was such a good show.
So good.
And like just I don't feel like enough people got to see it because it was on Disney. So
I will say more people have Disney Plus now, and all of Darkwing Duck is on Disney Plus. Everybody, go watch Darkwing Duck. It's really good.
It's a great watch. It's a great watch
good.
right there. There's some good animation on Disney Plus.
Let's get dangerous.
Absolutely.
Oh, so great.
Launchpad McQuack. Oh, is Tailspin on Disney Plus? I might have to watch that. I have to get that over another watch.
I think they do have Tailspin on Disney Plus.
Chip and Dale's Rescue
Rangers. Oh.
I got carried away.
It's fine because I love it. All right. We're going to do quick recommendations and then talk about this last Mandalorian episode.
Yep.
Tank, your recommendation?
Oh, yeah, I'm recommending Jexy because you brought this bullshit into my face right now. So, Jexy, very funny, with heart. It has heart. It's about technology taking over for us, and it's a modern day take on. It's almost a modern day take on Click. So
on Click,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
My recommendation is Her with Joaquin. No, I'm kidding.
Also a great movie.
It's really good. It's a great film.
And it's got okay, good.
I was just gonna say my recommendation is a movie I think I've recommended now, like over the span of us doing recommendations. I think I've recommended it 3 times, counting this time. Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. This new Miles Morales game came out on the PS5. Obviously, I don't have a PS5. I would like a PS5 for this game because they released a Spider-Verse skin in the game where it even moves and animates like Spider-Verse, like how the movie does. And it looks great. And somebody recreated the scene of him, like, doing the fly, what's up, danger, and, like, him swinging through the city to that song in-game. And I'm like, I want this game. But instead, I'm just going to go watch the movie again.
There you go. I like it.
And Spider-Verse is just great. And it's funny, too. When I saw that video on Twitter of somebody who recreated it in-game, the first comment on there, the first reply, and maybe this is just because it's Twitter, was, I wish people would stop sucking Spider-Verse's... Like, it's not that good of a movie.
That's stupid.
And I'm just sitting here like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Spider-Verse is so perfect.
Yep.
Anyways, we're going back to Disney, back to Star Wars. We're going to talk about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3 in our ongoing review of the season. Episode 3 was really, really good. So here's your spoiler warning. We're going to talk about spoilers. So get out. Bye. Go watch it. Then watch us. That was very rude. See you.
Super rude.
Tank, what did you think of Episode 3?
I thought it was great, man. I thought there is like, it's weird how the show just keeps getting better.
It is odd.
And you know, you're taking this space western and you're carrying it across the universe like it's a desert.
Right.
And he's stopping into all these different places. The way he stopped in, I mean, like, it's so funny because this was like a harbor planet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he landed in Boston, Massachusetts. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was dressed like whalers and shit. And it was like, dude, it was amazing. The the new Mandos that came along, I found them really interesting. I don't have the background in the stories. I don't have the background in the cartoons or the books or the novels, so I don't know who any of these people are. But as somebody who's just coming into it fresh, still really digging it. I loved Katie Sackhoff as was it Bouquet?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. I loved her as that. Apparently, she voiced that character in the cartoons.
She did.
From what I heard. And she's a terrific actress, and I thought like the story that's going on, the understory, because there's a lot of stuff happening right now. We're still trying to find Jedi.
Yep.
To find out like what's going on with Yoda. Baby Yoda. The child. Sorry.
They really, by the way, they're really trying to push the whole, like, his name is the child, by the way. We're just calling him the child. Please, you're buying the toys, his name is the child. And I'm over here like, guys, I know that's Baby Yoda.
Did you get the vibe that perhaps they were, that like the world kind of did a, like this to Baby Yoda after he
tried genocide? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, a little bit. And I think in this last episode where he's like hanging out with the frog lady and her husband, and he's like taking care of one of the baby frogs that's being born, I'm like, I feel like this is them going, see, now he appreciates all life. And I'm like,
yeah, he would have ate that thing if those people weren't around.
Thank you. It's really, honestly, it's pretty messed up. And I agree that I feel like the world kind of did he's not as cute as I thought he was before. Yeah. He's still pretty cute though.
He's cute. He's just a sociopath.
Yeah, he is. So I did watch the animated shows. That's my only additional like Star Wars knowledge was the animated shows. So the Clone Wars, which is very, very good, and Rebels, which is even better. And in Rebels, there is a Mandalorian character who basically wants to become the next queen of the original Mandalorian homeworld, Mandalore. And that is Bo-Katan, the character we got to see in this last episode. And she's involved pretty heavily in that show. So the fact that she just randomly showed up made me so happy. There is another main character in Rebels named Sabine, who is also a Mandalorian, and she has a lot of involvement with the Darksaber, which we got to see at the end of season 1 of The Mandalorian. And she, at the end of Rebels, goes off with Ahsoka Tano to find one of the other Jedis from that show, which essentially means we could be getting 3 characters from the animated series in addition to Bo-Katan, who we just got, which is super exciting for me. Ahsoka Tano is one of the best Jedi that gets like no recognition, so I am so excited to get to see her in live action, especially because I believe she's being played by Rosario Dawson, which is awesome. And then we're also going to get Sabine, I believe, from the TV show. And then the Jedi they go looking for, his name is Ezra. And I can only imagine they're going to touch on that as well in the show. So I'm just excited to see more of like the characters that I know from a version of Star Wars that I've never gotten to see in live action. Like when Bo-Katan showed up, I went, huh, that's weird. She looks like that character from the animated show. And then I realized it was the same character, and I was like, this is blowing my mind. I was so happy.
One of the only things that bothered me about the episode is one of the things that happens. It happens a lot in movies and TV shows now, where your protagonist is in what seems like an inescapable situation, and then randomly out of nowhere, somebody comes to save them.
I feel like that's just a common way to introduce characters, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, is anybody that lucky?
No, but this is The Mandalorian. I mean, granted, in the opening of Mandalore, if you remember when we were talking about season 1, when that came out, all I could do was complain about how in the first, like, 3 episodes, the Mandalorian gets his butt kicked constantly. And I was just like, I don't really see him much of a badass. He's had everybody save his life. But I didn't get that same feeling this time because I knew they had to introduce the other Mandalorians in that way. And honestly, I feel like he showed up and helped them so well on the assault that they had on that Imperial ship that he kind of proved like, yeah, you saved me that one time, but allow me to do your entire job for you right now. You know what I mean? Like, he really showed his stuff later in the episode that I feel like it kind of balanced that out. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I will say, when they got locked in, like, the cargo hold or whatever, like, the room before the cargo hold, and the guys in the front of the ship are like, we have them trapped in the blah, 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 blah. And the guy's like, where? I was like, oh no, here it comes. And then the cargo hold opened and they just all flew out. I was like, man, this is so good.
It's good, man. It's a good show, and you're falling more and more in love with the Mandalorian. He's such a badass, and I just, you get the vibe that all these friends and allies he's collecting, it's gonna come into some sort of big head at some point.
I think
you
so.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought of this. There was this great picture I saw online the other day that was how it looks on the model, and then it's Boba Fett, and then how it looks on me, and then it's Timothy Oliphant's character wearing his armor, and how awkward it looked on him. And I was like, all right, I see you. That's pretty funny. But no, I agree. I think us adding in all these characters is just going to lead. I imagine Mandalorian is going to end with some big fight where it will involve all of the other characters that he has met.
And also, it's kind of disappointing because it's like, Jesus Christ, can't we get rid of the Empire? I mean, like, how many
they're really like, because it's supposed to be like the survivors trying to carry out like the Emperor's last wishes, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think we're like 5 years or something past Return of the Jedi. I'm like, these guys should have been wiped out by now. But I guess the galaxy's a big place.
Is this before the New Order?
Yeah, this is before the First Order.
First Order, not New Order. New Order's an 80s band.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, this is before the First Order. I believe the First Order doesn't start like until maybe like 20 years after Return of the Jedi. I don't know. How should I know? I'm not a Star Wars nerd. I'm kind of a Star Wars nerd. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. How are you feeling, Tank?
Feeling good, man. Lots of fun. Always love talking movies with you, bro.
And I always love talking about Mandalorian. And I'm excited to do it again this Friday on our next episode.
I'm excited for the episode, too. So.
I am, too, because I feel like I feel like if we're not going to get Ahsoka Tano and, the Jedi in the next episode, we're going to get a little bit of them, and then they're going to be in the following episode. That's what I think. Because that Frog Lady episode really had to be like, well, let's show you the journey first before we get to any more, like, major plot. And I'm like, it's fine because it's fun, but give me Jedi. I want Jedi. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much again for listening and watching. You can find us on YouTube. At No Talking During the Movies on YouTube, and also at our Instagram, where we will put our a tease about what we're talking about on the episode, and our recommendations, which you will see a picture featuring the beautiful Miles Morales from Spider-Verse and Jexy. So that's great. So go follow us on that too if you want to see that obnoxious abstrosity.
Follow us. Follow us on Instagram.
All right, good. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Once again, I am your host, Stephen Austin.
I am your co-host and favorite Uncle Tank.
You are my favorite uncle. Bye.